Hi, my name's Carol Ricard, and welcome to this episode of I Am Not Cancer. We have a great show planned for you, so don't go anywhere, because today I am joined by my guest, Sabrina Teekah, who is going to share the secrets of creating your home environment to support your cancer journey. So I'm so grateful to have you. Welcome, Sabrina.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And first of all, I want to say how grateful I am and happy that your cancer journey is going amazingly well.
Thank
and that
you.
You're sharing these tips with other people.
Thank you very much. You know, you have been a super support for me through this too. And so some of the things we've talked about, I felt were really important to share with people. And you know, you had shared with me, you know, how cancer has touched your life as well, and that you had done this wonderful talk some years ago. And
yes, I had done a talk at in Florida with friends after diagnosis a couple years ago. At that time, I had never experienced a family member with cancer, and unfortunately, my brother got leukemia, and we also had that journey as a family because he had to have a bone marrow transplant. So I thought about, when you were talking about this show, that I had shared this, maybe this might be something valuable to your viewers.
Oh, I think immensely valuable, because I think, when you think about the stress that accompanies a cancer journey. And again, it could be the person. So if you're the person having that cancer journey, or you're the family member.
Absolutely.
It creates those ripple effects to go out. And, so that's why I'm so glad to have you here. And I know we got a lot of slides, and we have a plan.
In case we don't get through all of the slides or all of the points that we're going to discuss, please remember to go to Carol's website, which is...
It's IamNotCancer.live.
L-I-V-E.
L-I-V-E.
Correct.
Yes.
So if we don't get through all of the points, we will have the entire, all of it recorded live for you over there. So
that is great.
So whenever we have 5 simple steps to creating a home that heals our spirit and our well-being.
I love that. Spirit and well-being kind of goes together. All right.
So the 5 steps that, and I'm going to look over there because that's where my...
That's where your slides
That's where my slides are. So space, experience, and emotion. So we want to know, we'll talk a little bit more about that. Let me go over the 5. Space, experience, emotion. What makes you happy? Editing your home. Surrounding yourself with joy, and nurturing your spirit. So these are the 5 points. They're simple steps. They sound a little bit like a lot, but we'll break them down for you.
Great.
Yeah. Okay, so step number 1, space, experience, and emotion. So when we look at our space, whichever space it is, start trying to be aware of what emotion that is evoking, right? So is it because spaces that we're accustomed to seeing, after a while we don't pay attention to it. It's just there.
You kind of go on autopilot.
Correct.
Right?
Correct. So this particular space, if we look at that space, Carol, what does it evoke for you? Just real quick, what does it evoke?
There's a certain tranquility to it, quite honestly. And just sort of peace and
the colors are really soothing.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I was going to say
it's not
sort
dull.
of a lightness to
Correct.
it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it feels light when you walk into a space like that.
Yeah.
You know, here again, it feels nice, homey, and very cozy, you know, is what I like to call that.
Yeah.
Here again, same idea, very light, very It's not a heavy feeling.
Right,
So
right.
just kind of pay attention to your space and what type of feeling is it evoking.
Well, that reminds me, when I was going to paint one of the walls in my office. And
Right.
it was what color, and I knew that I wanted a calming blue.
Right.
And with your expertise, I was actually able to pick out this really wonderful blue that, quite honestly, everybody comments on it when they see it.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, I love the color of your background, Carol. And it's like, but it's just so soothing in my own office to just have that one wall, that color.
Right, and it could be one wall, it could just be a part of something. Now, how does this make you feel?
Oh my God, I'm stressed out. like to me, that's like a chaos sort of
Exactly.
and environment.
It evokes that chaotic feeling, but if you, and I'm not saying this is what, we have little piles of stuff everywhere, right?
Absolutely.
And after a while, if we don't take care of that, it does evoke that chaotic, unconscious vibration for us.
It's kind of like, because you're just used to seeing that, though, because I'm looking at it for the very first time and it's bringing up that emotion, right? But if I was living in it, and I know this happens to me myself at home, it's like, oh, and then finally I get to the point where I'm like,
I can't stand it anymore.
I can't take it anymore. And I just go through and I put everything away.
And that happens to me with the mail.
Yeah.
You put it down, put it down, then after a while you're like, oh, can't stand this anymore.
Yeah.
So same thing, sometimes we don't clear up before, which is it's not a judgment, it's not anything.
No.
Just being aware.
Yeah.
Being aware.
I think your point is so important, and that is that the space that we're in, whether we realize it or not, is actually influencing how we feel.
Yeah, it's causing you unconscious stress.
Yeah.
And you don't need that when you're going, when you're on this journey. You absolutely
you have enough
don't need
stress to deal with.
Exactly.
You don't need to be adding on to it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the other thing in your space is color. And you spoke about the blue in your office. Like, how does that make you feel?
Yeah.
Think about that blue and think about this red. Tell me what's happening for you.
Well, the red is just, I don't know, I think of it as full of life. I mean, actually, I'm wearing red, so I think of it as just a strong, for myself, to me, red just symbolizes strength and power and, And I love the white contrast with the red.
Correct.
It's just,
correct.
Although, I have to confess, if I had all those pictures on my wall, that would probably drive me nuts because I'd have to dust them all.
Yeah. And a couple of things to remember. And, depending on which room it is, will depend on the color you want to use. Okay? Because red evokes more energy.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you do not want to put red in a restful space.
Like your bedroom?
I mean, you could have like little flowers or something like that.
But the wall or the
it's
color,
hard
the whole
to,
red.
Yes, it's hard to calm down in a red room. Okay? Red rooms work really well in situations like these. They work really well in restaurants because they make you...
The energy.
The energy is different. So just think about the color and the energy that color evokes for you.
And you know what, you just said that. I remember one time I heard that about restaurants and their logos, and they have red. And if you think about it, so many of them do have red even in their logos to, kind of, I don't know, pull you in. It's kind of.
But if you think it's a pattern interrupt, right?
Yes.
Red stop signs. It's like stop and look at me, because red is an advancing color, so it comes to you, and blue is a receding color. It stays back in the background.
Wow.
So thinking about those kinds of things.
Yes.
Experiences, right? Where do you feel calm? What do you like to experience? Like, a lot of people like the beach. Some people, I love the sunsets, regardless of if it's on a beach or not. And so really taking time to experience those things.
And I think, You know, you reminded me, I had a patient one time who the beach was her very soothing sort of place for her, but she didn't drive. And so she was kind of hesitant. And I remember saying, well, truthfully, you can go to the beach anytime you want. Just close your eyes and use your imagination. You know,
Yeah.
and so we can create those experiences, even if we can't get there physically. We can create them so that we get the benefit of them.
Right.
Or pictures. Like I
Yes,
know in my
that's
office.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh,
That's what I was going to say. If you can't get to it
Yeah.
and you have a photograph,
Yeah.
use that as your wall art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just reminded me, at the hospital, when I went to Yellowstone, it was the most peaceful place, the most peaceful experience I'd ever had. And so I brought back pictures and I surrounded myself in the office with these reminders of that peace.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that what we're going through here is called. I'll remember the word just now. It just went out of my head.
It'll come back.
That's your pandemic brain.
Yeah,
My pandemic
yeah.
brain here. I'll
Pandemic
remember.
brain is definitely
Evidence-based design. And a lot of hospitals actually use evidence-based design. So instead of you looking at a wall in your room or something, they try really hard to use these principles to help the healing process. So we can bring that into our home.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Same
Oh,
thing, you know,
beautiful
sunset, sunrise,
Yeah.
whatever you like.
Yeah.
The other point is what makes you happy. And you know, it's mind-boggling that a lot of people don't know that.
I think a lot of people don't stop, you know, the busyness of their life to think about it. I mean, and really just you talking about it right at this moment kind of brings it to people's attention and awareness.
Right, exactly. Is what makes you happy, right? So for me, afternoon tea is a big thing in my life.
Yeah.
And it's not as big as an everyday spread like this.
Yeah, you mean you don't have the 3-tier little plates there and the teapot and
I actually need to buy one of those.
sandwich little things.
But that just it makes me happy, and the reason why it makes me happy is because when I was a little child, my mom used to have afternoon tea, and we grew up in a British Guyana, and so we had these British things that we did, you know, that was just normal, right?
Kind of traditions.
Yeah,
I
the
think of them,
traditions,
or customs.
exactly, and the customs. So afternoon tea was a thing, right? She was a stay-at-home mom, and at 3 o'clock we came home. You know, she'd have afternoon tea ready, and we would sit down, and she would ask us about our day.
Yeah.
And I never really appreciated how valuable that was until I was older. And I did that with my kids because it was that de-stressing time, right?
Yeah, just to sort of de-escalate everything and, you know, to connect, even though in your mom's time we did that much, much better than we do nowadays.
Yeah. But my thing is, what I do now is, it's like in my brain that at 3 o'clock or 2:30, I'll stop and make myself a cup of tea.
Wow.
Right? It doesn't have to be all of that. Make yourself a cup of tea. And the other thing that I like to do is I love teacups and saucers, obviously, and I will put it in a nice teacup and saucer. You know, today we were talking about having coffee in actual china teacup and saucer, as opposed to instead of a coffee cup. And that's, you know, a paper cup.
Or a diner cup, you know, I mean, it's very different.
It's very different experience.
The china cup we had this morning as opposed to, you know, the diner that I had on Saturday.
Right. So bring out your china. Don't leave it for, you know, when you're gone, like who's going to use it?
You know, it's interesting because I have these plates, you know, that have, I mean, I grew up in California, so the plates have made it, you know, all the way to the other side of the country. And they're special holiday plates. And I'm like, you know, I don't use them just on the holidays, but special occasions. But the minute I look at that plate, boom, it takes me right back to those those times and the experience, I think is it.
Yes.
And it would seem to me the opposite. Like if you have those kinds of things that the opposite of making you happy, but actually stress you out more or upset you, then kind of replace or make sure you don't have to do them. Just because it's the way it's been done doesn't mean that you have to do those things.
And you have to, like you say, you have to use the things that make you happy or evoke a memory of something. Like I have a collection of different teacups or mugs even, right? That really evoke that feeling of, oh, I got this, my children gave me this as a gift for something, or this or that or the other.
And you know what I think is so important about what you're saying and bringing it to related to cancer is that we have to cultivate those moments of joy.
Yes.
As you're going through this journey, because there's a lot. It's not joyful. It's not wonderful. But at the same time, we are responsible for generating those moments of joy and happiness as well. And that's one way we can do it.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot to do that.
No.
It's really simple because when you're going through that cancer journey, before, during, or after, there's a lot of other things that take higher priority.
Yes.
But like you said, relieving some of that stress, we can do these simple little things.
Yeah, just little things that we can do at home and in our environment.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, maybe going for a walk.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to run through these slides, but having lunch with your friends, having breakfast with your friends, now I know that sometimes during the times that we're in right now, that might not be so easy, but hey, have a Zoom party.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a Zoom coffee clutch, or tea clutch, or
absolutely.
I think that's a great way. Sometimes we have to just change how we do it in order to still do it.
Yeah, I mean, go to the spa. If you can't go to the spa, you can always do this at home.
Yeah,
you can do this at home. Just things that make you happy.
Yeah,
The other really important one is edit your home. I use the word edit instead of declutter. I don't like that word.
I love the word edit.
So, so editing bookcases, that's like, oh my goodness. We all have tons of books that we don't want to get rid of, which is fine, but let's try to edit some of that, because the bookcase on the left sort of evokes that chaotic vibration.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And the other one creates more calm.
Yeah.
So just be aware of those things.
Yeah.
And it could be, just simplify as much as you can.
Yeah.
It just creates that, do a little something to spruce up the space you're in.
Yeah.
That's really simple. All it is, put some paint on the wall, because that behind the bed is so bland. It just looks too institutional type thing.
Exactly.
So warm it up a little bit. And that's, gets...
And honestly, with YouTube these days and
absolutely.
HGTV, it's kind of like people that don't think they can do things can absolutely,
It's simple,
and you don't have to be creative. You just have to find something you like.
Exactly.
And then duplicate it.
Exactly. Get a little bit of paint and painter's tape, and you're good to go.
Exactly.
You're good to go. Buy some lamps, and all of these things are inexpensive. You can make it as inexpensive or as expensive as you feel you want to, right?
Oh, yeah.
Same thing. Just really being aware of what things do for you. I mean, this here, if you wanted to do a little bit of renovation, just thinking through those, but thinking about the things the elements that calm you and make you happy.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, because you're right. The left of here, this bathroom is sort of this institutional feel, and the other one is just sort of cozy,
the spa feel,
embracing it. And, and the thing is too, as opposed to years ago, we have the Home Depot and Lowe's, and they have all those classes, so that even if you feel like you can't do it, you can do it.
Right. And I mean, in the one to the left, let's say you couldn't do a renovation, okay? If you get a nice long runner for a rug,
a carpet,
it can Absolutely spruce up the
Just
space.
change it a little
Yeah.
bit and it kind of adds, like a soap dispenser up.
Yeah, just
kinda
something
there.
that makes you smile,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Same idea, just
Yeah.
that one wall painted.
Yeah.
Same,
Oh my
everything is
God,
exactly the same,
I
right?
love the blue. Yeah.
Yeah, really pretty.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Just great examples of how just a little bit of paint can just
Go a
shift you.
long way.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then surrounding yourself with joy, right?
Yeah.
Like what brings you joy? It's the same like happy, right? What puts a smile on your face? It could be reading a book, it could just be playing with your children or grandchildren.
Or I might
friends,
add
kids.
pets too.
Or pets, yeah, that's
know?
true. That's true.
Yeah.
Um,
Although I have to say, and here's what's really interesting about what we're talking about, is that what I love is that what will work for somebody and be calming and soothing for somebody, like to me, this would like stress me out because I'd be thinking about all the weeds that I got to take care of and like too much,
but some people love gardening.
But I worked with a
Yeah.
psychiatrist, and honestly, she has the most gorgeous backyard, and it's all these flowers, and I think to myself, oh my God, I'm so envious. I would love to, but
Yeah.
I know that no.
But like you said, certain things bring people joy, and,
Yes.
and the same thing can stress somebody else out.
Yes.
But I have a sister-in-law that absolutely loves gardening.
Yeah.
And so find a thing that you love, right?
Yeah.
Find a thing that you love.
Yeah.
Just make up your bed beautifully as much as you can. Think about hotels that you've visited, and the first thing that greets you is the bed, because that's kind of the largest piece of furniture in the room. And how do you feel? Like you just want to, and it's not that difficult.
You know what? I think what you just said is so important too. And I used to do this with my patients in the hospital, and really encourage them that when you get up and you get out of bed, make it.
Yes.
And the point of this is that if, let's say, you're in the middle of a chemotherapy regimen or radiation or some other type of treatment, that you just have no friggin' energy.
Correct.
So all you're going to do
Correct.
is, even if you just, I used to say, is get out of bed and go sit in the couch or lay on the couch. And if you never move all day long, that's okay, but you didn't stay in the quicksand, which is the bed.
Right.
And one way to feel like you've accomplished something is even just, I bought a new bed, new cover, because I have dogs, so I get dog hair all over.
Yeah.
And I just, I pull it up, and just pulling it all the way up, gives me a sense of accomplishment.
Correct.
That I've done something.
Correct.
And if it's just that's the one thing that you can do all day,
Then
you've done it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know.
And then nurturing your spirit. Like, do you like to do, meditation? Some of the tools that you talk about, like, the yoga things.
I used to have a woman who actually, she set up this separate time just to read her Bible. Like that was her time of nurturing her spirit.
Right.
Of just that time was set time. Actually, I said that to you, and what just occurred to me is I just realized, like, oh yeah, my Aunt Ninny, who was 95 years old, she would go to her mass every day, and it was just thinking about this. I thought she was just, an Italian aunt, who did what she did, right?
Right.
But truthfully, that for her was nurturing her spirit.
That was her quiet time too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know for me, nurturing, again, it could be the beach. I'm actually a lake and an ocean, not an ocean person, but it's, again, surrounding yourself with those pictures of things that you can't get there.
Yeah. Like you said, some people go to church, some people go to the theater. Some people go to wherever
and it's
makes you
interesting
happy.
because these things, and I think that's one of the parts of what the pandemic did as well, is that the things that people used to do to nurture their spirit, they can't do. And so it's finding other ways to do that.
Well, one of the things, I love to travel, right? And so obviously we're not doing much of that, but I am going to look at a travel show on, Netflix or Prime or whatever, and I feel like I'm transported to that place. So we just have to find some other ways. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that was it. So we did go through all of them.
Yeah.
So space, experience, emotion, what makes you happy, editing your home, surrounding yourself with the things that really make you happy and feel joyful, or remind you of those moments,
Yes.
right?
Those moments of
that
joy
moments of
that
joy.
you can bring back.
Nurturing your spirit, and really thinking about, I always say life is lived in moments.
Yeah.
It's a collection of moments.
Yeah.
Some good, bad, and ugly, right? So if we can increase the good.
Yep, we kind of tip the scales, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're so right. Nobody chooses to have cancer.
Correct.
But if what we can do is, not let the cancer kind of, weigh us down, but sort of create this little bit more of a balance, so that we have those moments, is so really
Absolutely.
incredible.
Yeah.
And it's what it made me think of, and just this whole topic was back at the very first part of my cancer journey, and I was trying to decide what was the treatment, and there was a treatment that was out in the west that I looked at, and it was pretty amazing, and I had the availability and the resources to do it, but my environment was going to be completely different. And the thought of taking myself out of this environment, and putting myself in that environment, it was like I am just creating all this added stress that is going to come along with it. And so it sort of really kind of brought me back to, oh no, your environment right where you are right now is where you need to be.
Right.
And those supports and, and the comfort of your home. Quite honestly.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we have just about a minute left, before we have to wrap things up.
Yeah.
But I hope that people are able to take away, little things that they can do. And again, I really think of it as the scales, the moments, you talked in those moments. It's like instead of here, and particularly, COVID in these times can do that. It's really, we are responsible for sort of counteracting that a little bit, because we can't stop them, we can't control them, but what we can do is
we can just control what we can control. Yeah. And really taking time to understand the things that cause us more stress is really just being aware.
Yeah, being mindful.
Being mindful
of
and
those
being
things.
aware.
Actually, I had my refrigerator and I had to completely took everything off and, like you said, make it look neat. So I'm so grateful and so glad that you were able to join me here today.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah, I really want to encourage people just to come back and to check in our next show, because our mission here is just to really inspire, inform, and to empower. And also just in a little click, coming soon, the I Am Not Cancer book. And this version doesn't have the interior, but we'll get it in the next one.
Yeah,
so
awesome.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.